Nigel Moffatt joins us from Perth, where he's treasurer for the Perth Mint. And Nigel, welcome to the program this morning. I'd first like to get you to paint a picture of what the scene has been like over the past week at the Perth Mint as people line up to buy the metal. Just tell us what demand has been like there.
Well, clearly the people of Western Australia watch the price of gold very closely. After the rout on Friday night, our time, Monday morning when we opened the gates of the Perth Mint at 9 o'clock, there was a large crowd of people waiting outside, and as the gates were open, people ran across the courtyard to get into the retail operation. And we have seen enormous numbers of people in there, and they're all buying.
Yeah, so they're buying after the biggest price drop in 3 decades. Just before we came to you, we showed a graphic with gold. It's modestly higher, but of course it's still down significantly. Do you think this is the biggest buying opportunity of a lifetime for those small investors looking to get into the physical side of the metal?
Well, it's certainly an opportunity that they're not prepared to ignore. Let's face it. When you find there's a price that's $200 cheaper than it was the previous business day, it's like the Christmas sales at your favorite department store.
Yeah, well, certainly that's appealing to retail investors, but a lot of the professional investors, from what we've been reading, well, they're not so convinced at the moment because they think that prices may fall further. So what's your sense here? I know you typically don't give a price estimate, but do you think perhaps investors, well, may see further price declines ahead, that they may get even more of a bargain in the weeks ahead?
Well, certainly small investors, and we're talking individuals and people who run their own what we call superannuation funds over here, have not been slow at all to take up the opportunity. In terms of professional buyers, certainly things have been slower there, and we supply a lot of gold which ends up in, for example, India, Thailand and China, and they were slow to take up the opportunity on Monday and maybe Tuesday, but ever since then there has been continued buying interest there too, particularly into China.
Well, let's talk about that. Obviously, there is an affinity for gold, physical gold in the Asia-Pacific. That is tied, of course, to cultural patterns. But the demand you're seeing, particularly out of China, has it surprised you? And talk about some of those other countries. You mentioned Thailand, where you're seeing a lot of demand. Who's buying, Nigel?
Well, there are particular buyers in Thailand who actually distribute into the jewellery industry and the investment industry there, and so there are several buyers, well-known buyers there in Thailand. India, of course, has always had a very long and strong affinity with gold, and they tend to buy as a value prospect there too. So when the price is right, they're interested to buy. China has this enormous appetite, and whilst they certainly are less price sensitive, at this point of time they will take anything that is offered to them at this stage, as we understand it.
How long do you see this running, Nigel? You've been in this business for a long time. What's your sense of the road ahead? Is this more opportunities, a signal more opportunity for those retail buyers and perhaps some of the bigger players as well?
Look, I think that as far as the big end of town is concerned, the big supplies of kilo bars into India, China, etc., that will continue, and we'll see that continue for a long time to come. As far as individuals are concerned, people have always been interested in buying gold. Gold's been a store of wealth for 5,000 years, and people aren't going to stop buying in the immediate future, I don't think. It's always there. People like to buy small amounts of gold in coin form, bar form, whatever it is, which they can keep as a store of wealth and as an insurance against their other assets, and also it's actually something tangible to leave the grandchildren in due course. So I think the future for buying gold and holding gold is looking pretty secure.